guys, so let's talk about why I hate making nails. Actually, let's first talk about why I'm even doing this video, because I know someone's gonna be like, if you hate making nails, why are you making a nail making video? I had somebody ask in one of the comments, either on the YouTube short video that I made or on the TikTok, that was the same video. I can't remember, but I'm gonna throw information out on both so people can, that person can watch this video. But that's the only reason why I'm making this video, is because somebody asked me to. So, why do I hate making nails? I have quite the extensive list, but I'm not going to bore you with everything. I am going to condense it, because I can go into detail on some of these a little more. First and foremost, and this is one of my big ones, they get stuck in the nail header. I have known guys to make nails for years and years and years, and you catch a corner, you hammer the wrong way, like in my YouTube short video when I talked about that one being, or whenever I showed that one being stuck. The nail itself was actually sitting about this high above the nail header, between where the head's going to be and the nail. And me not thinking, I just drove it down, and that formed a void inside my nail header. Now, my nail header is handmade, and it's not a perfectly square, perfectly lined hole in here. So there's a little bit of tiny bit of taper, and just enough for that nail head to get stuck. And I went, it was cooled down. I don't think I quenched it. I just got aggravated because it didn't pop out, and I walked away. But it was cooled down. I went to tap it out. It just wouldn't come out, and it got stuck. Now, if you're making tacks, and I've seen this happen quite a few times, you go to forge your nail head, and it gets hung on the corner of your Pritzl hole or Hardy hole, wherever you're at, and it curls up on the inside, and it gets stuck that way. Especially the ones that have the, it's a little more domed, and there's a void here on this side. Mine's more flat, and I like these better. But then it gets stuck on the inside, and you're having to heat it up, and it's just a headache. But that's one of the main reasons I don't like making nails. That, and I'm not fast at it, so I feel like it takes me so long to make them. Even though it's real time in the video when you see it, I just don't like it. It's just tedious, I guess, too. Number two, there's no profit in it. And you're gonna be like, what do you mean? The same material, pretty much the same material I use to make this nail, and the time frame it takes to make this nail, I can make a J-hook and sell it for $5. I can't sell a nail for $5. I mean, that's just it. It's material, it's time, it's all those things. I can't make a profit off of just making nails. Now, with that being said, I can make a profit off of a nail if I combine it with something. So if I take this nail and I sell it with a hook, or sell it with, this nail I would sell with a matchstick holder, or a small little, grill poker or something like that, because it has that gap on it. They could hook it over and it wouldn't slide off, or hot dog forks or something like that. So I would take this and accompany it with something else and tack on an extra price. Or one of the smaller nails, like I'll use this one for example, I would take it, make a really nice hook, maybe like a leaf scrolling up it or something, and I would drive this nail in it and use it as a drift, and this would be the nail that goes with that hook, and I would up the charge of the hook. Now, I can make a profit that way, and I have done it a few times. The times that I wanted to be mad at myself and make a nail. The third, and this one's kind of a biggie for me too, and I think I'm just going to say 3, because I don't want to rant too long. They seem pointless. Don't get me wrong, making leaves and making stuff like that, decorative items, yes, in a sense, are pointless because they don't serve any value of other than looking nice. But you could go buy a ton of nails. I can go buy decorative nails. I can go buy nails that look similar to these. I can go buy horseshoe nails. And I mean, you know, there's just so many nails you can buy. I'm not building a house. I'm not building something that requires this style nail. No one else is. There's more nicer nails out there. It just seems pointless to me. And I could be just straight up wrong on it. And eventually one day I'll grow up and like making nails. And, you know, because that's all I can forge when I'm 90. But I'm not a frontiersman out on a plane, sitting in my rocking chair at night with my lap anvil, you know, popping out nails because we've got to build a barrel tomorrow or we got to fix the wagon. It seems pointless to me. Now, if you're a reenactor and you're getting everything period looking, I see you making a bunch of nails. But they started mass producing nails, you know, hundreds and hundreds of years ago, where people could go buy nails. They really didn't forge them too long here in America. Nails have been around forever. I don't know the exact date. I didn't look it up. If I get a chance, I will look it up and try to tag it in this video where I'm talking now. But they just seem pointless to make. And again, you might love making nails, and I'm sure I'm about to get a ton of comments going, oh no, it's great, I can do this and I can do this. And that's awesome. Send me some and I would be happy. And I would give them to people. But I don't like making them. For what it is, you know, like I said, if I have a purpose to make one, I'll make a couple. I now have like 8 or 9 or 10 or something now, and I won't need any more for another 5 years. But unless I'm making a project or making something where I'm going to need them, I don't like making them. It's kind of like rivets. I can buy rivets. I know how to make them, but you know, I've got 2,000 rivets floating around here in all different places. Unless I'm doing a video, if I'm making a pair of tongs, I'm putting a made rivet in it because I don't like making rivets. It's basically making a nail. But it seems pointless to me. Now, that's just my personal opinion. But, you know, to each their own. If you enjoy making nails, awesome. If you've got some tricks that you'd like to shoot my way in the comments, by all means, I'll take all the help I can get on these. But, you know, that's really the reasons why, guys, is they get stuck. And that's my biggest thing. I can't stand something. When I'm in the middle of production, I can't stand something that messes up and slows me down. The profit is not there for me, and they seem pointless. Those are my 3 main reasons. I can go on and on, but that is my 3 main reasons on why I don't like making nails. So guys, let's get some metal hot and make something I hate making. Okay guys, one of the first things you're gonna need is a nail header. Mine is a square hold. If you do not have a nail header, you will need a vise. And I'm going to show how to make nails in both places. A nail header is easier to make nails with. You can be a little more quicker and productive with them. But a vise works just as well if you're just needing to make a few. Maybe you made a bunch of hooks or something, you just want to make some nails to sell with it. Then you can throw them in the vise and clamp them down. You need to make a better shoulder for the vise, depending on how your vise is made. If it doesn't have super sharp jaws on it, like mine doesn't have super sharp jaws. But I'm gonna show you some tricks and some tips on how to make a really pretty nail. Okay guys, straighten my piece of steel. We're gonna go half on, half off blows. We're gonna create a shoulder right here. There's one side. Now I'm turning it and holding it as best I can where I was at, and I'm gonna turn it about 90 degrees. And I'm gonna go straight down again. Try not to push forward or pull back. Half on, half off blows again, guys. Roll it back. What we're doing is working that shoulder in and get it very prominent. So we've got our shoulder, getting our shoulder established. I'm gonna go back in for another heat. Keep doing half on, half off blows. Okay, so Having a good prominent shoulder is going to make a really good nail. Now, as you can see, I've got one side a little more than the other side. I'm going to work on that, but be careful you don't get your nail too thin on the edge, which is right here where your shoulder's at, or it'll break off. Now, I know what you're thinking, John, that's going to be a wonky looking nail. I'm going to show you a trick I learned when I was making this last batch of nails that I did the YouTube short about. I've made quite a few nails in my day, and I still learned something new. Alright guys, since we got the shoulder established, now I'm going to start forming out the length of my nail. And I don't want to go super thin. I want my nail to fit almost perfectly in my nail header. So I'm going to stop, take a second, and check it. Now you can see it goes in there perfect. If it would have stopped here and not went any further, I would have hammered down this section a little bit more. You don't want it super thin. You want it to fit almost perfect. It wiggles a tiny bit, but it's not too much. But you can see, turn around, how that shoulder rests. Turn this up there, maybe, yep, see it like that. Those shoulders rest on the nail header so it won't push the nail all the way through. If your metal that you're forging is too thin, like if I was using 1/4 inch on this, I would drive the nail completely through and it would get stuck. Or if it's too big, you're going to drive the nail in to try to form your head, and it's going to get stuck. It'll create a burr on the inside of here, then it'll hang up. So pretty much a perfect fit like it is right there. Now I'm going to cut it. I want a little bit bigger nail head, so I'm going to go about right here. So I'm going to go, yeah, about right here. So maybe a 1/4 inch up. And that's where I'm going to do my cut. And I'm only going to, when I come out of the fire, I'm only going to cut it about halfway through, 3/4. So when I come out, I can break it off and then go straight over my hardy hole and start making my nail head. All right, guys, about a 1/4 inch. And I'm going to roll it slightly. What I'm doing is beaver chewing through this. I don't want it to be just on one side. Now, about 3/4 of the way through. So when I come out of the fire this time, I'm going to break it off, go straight over my Pritzl hole, and then start forming the nail head. Alright guys, so I'm going to show you something on one of the bigger nails I've made. And this is something that will happen time and time again. Your nail head will kick off to one side. Now, it's fine because mostly all the time it'll be hid by the wall. But, or if you wanted to hang something on it, like this would be great to hang a knife or bags and stuff on, because the way it loops up. But on this, when I come out, I'm going to show you something again that I learned. It's one of those, I'm probably one of the last ones to think of this, but I'm going to, when I bring my material out, I'm going to go in with the nail header. Grab one that goes in there. I'm going to go in with my nail header, and instead of just hammering straight down, I'm going to hammer it, and then I'm going to turn it and start pulling the material back towards me. Just like we do when we're forging a leaf, so we don't get a cold shut. This is going to help us get the nail head more centered up on our nail. Okay guys, straight into the nail header, break it off, back in the fire. Alright, now you see how it's starting to form that lip, so I'm going to turn it Sorry. Harder to do with a camera here. Alright, I lost my heat because it's very cold up here. So, what I'm gonna do is take it out, grab my tongs. Your first couple nails are not gonna be just boom perfect. But as you can see, because I hammered back on it some, it's starting to push the nail down more center than it would be off to one side or the other. So let me go back in the fire, I'll come back out, and we'll pop it back in the nail header. Okay guys, going back in. Actually, I'm gonna drop my nail first. You kind of got to work quick. You're working with thinner material here. All right. Now I'm gonna start working all the sides down. Oops. Now, if you have a torch handy, you can use it to start when you start losing your heat and heat it up. I have a small torch, but I'm not gonna use it. Now, as you can see, since I hammered back to myself, when I noticed that it started getting boogered up, you can see that the nail head is more uniform and not more off to one side than the other, like it is on this one. You can see how it's more in the center. Now, this nail is perfectly fine. I would use it for hanging bags or anything. This is more of a decorative nail, or if you're making something a little more structural. Now, I did bend it when I came out, I can see, and that's nothing to straighten. Just take it, hold it with your tongs, and tap it whichever direction you need to go. If you want it to be a wider nail head, put more material here. But if you put too much material, you have a chance of getting it more off like this one. So, I go 1/4 of an inch, maybe a little bit bigger than 1/4 of an inch. I don't know what that is off the top of my head, sorry. But, about 1/4 of an inch or so, and then you start hammering it. All right guys, I'm gonna make up another nail, and then we're gonna go over to the vise, and I'm gonna show you a trick I have if you don't have any sharp jaws. Okay guys, tighten it up. As you can see, as I said, I don't have sharp shoulders on my vise. So I took some angle iron, and clamped it in my vise, so I would have a good sharp angle or corner for this to catch the shoulder on. Now, I'm gonna bring you around here, lower it a little bit. Sorry guys, I'm probably gonna make you a little seasick. If you look right here, you can see I'm establishing a corner on both sides, here and here. Now, when I come back in, I'm gonna turn my nail. So I'm gonna establish it all the way around because there'll be this little bit of a gap between them. Again, if you have a torch, you can probably knock this out in one really quick heat. But don't be afraid to move around your material as you're hammering. I don't just hammer here. I pull the material back. I hammer on this side. I hammer on this side. I pull the material this way. I'm shaping that nail in the form I want it to be in. Don't get lazy on me and just hammer it one direction. Don't be afraid to move around and do stuff. Guys, while I'm waiting on this nail to heat up, make sure when you get your angle iron that it has really good crisp corners on it. You do need it to be sharp. It don't have to be sharp all over. You can probably do different angles if you want to. I've seen that done. I've even seen where people have drilled holes in them or rounded them a little bit, and when they clamped it, it gave them almost a perfect circle or a perfect square or whatever to hold their nail for their nail header. They use thicker pieces of steel here, mind you. But for what we're doing and doing everything on a budget, this is gonna work absolutely perfect. Don't worry Sorry guys, I ain't leaving it up that high. Oh, got my hammer. As you see guys, I'm just going around in a circle to give it that diamond effect right there. It makes it just look a little bit more shiny and a little bit nicer. All right guys, that's nail number 2. All right guys, so let's get real for a minute and talk about what we learned today. Well, we made a couple really nice nails. Here's the one that was in the vise. Here's the nail header one. So I'm gonna talk about both processes. Sorry if you can't hear me real well, guys. This Tennessee weather is kicking my butt this year. Being 29 degrees in the morning, 50 degrees in the afternoon, has started really messing with my sinuses. But when you come out of the forge, whenever you're using a nail header, if you look, it sits flat like this. That's the right way. But if I turn it, you see how it's sitting upright. Because a lot of square nail headers, not all of them, but a lot of them, when they're hand forged, are not perfectly square, especially if you're using a handmade punch and drift. So when you come out, pay attention to which way this sets so you're not ending up boogering up your nail and getting it stuck in your nail header. Also, when you're hammering, remember guys, or my orientation, when you're hammering, move your nail header around. If the material looks like it's pushing off to one side, you can fix it. Until you go too far and the material gets too thin, then you're just stuck with it and you have a nail like this. There's nothing wrong with this nail. It's just not what you're looking for sometimes. If I was hanging a bag or a necklace or something up, I would use these kind of nails. But since I wanted it to be more centered, remember how we do in our leaf. We take it, whenever I was doing the leaf video, I took and I was hammering back down on myself, or back towards myself, so that I didn't create a cold shut, and it's the same concept. I'm hammering this direction, then I'll turn it and I'll hammer the other direction to make it to where everything stays pretty center. Also, and this is a biggie, pay attention to where your nail header is on your anvil, especially if you're making smaller nails, that you don't get it to where it curls up underneath and gets stuck. Those are horrible to fix, especially if your nail header, again, like I said in the beginning of the video, has a dome to it and it's concaved on the inside, that it will curl underneath and get stuck in there, and those are a pain to get out. All right, so let's talk about in the vise. Where's that nail at? Got a couple nails in my pocket. So, when you are forging in the vise, remember you need really good sharp corners to be able to hold your nail really well. If you're not able to get an angle iron or anything, make a deeper shoulder and try to get it on the opposite sides of each other as much as you can. It's kind of hard to do unless you have like a smithing magician or somebody helping you with a flattener or something, so where you can get in there and actually make that shoulder a little bit more prominent. But if you can get some good sharp corners and get it to where it'll hook on one of the lips really well, start forging down. Remember, have a good solid enough material on top for the head. Start forging and then rotate your nail at 90 degrees and then hammer on it some more, and then rotate it and hammer on it some more, and rotate it and hammer on it some more. What you're gonna do is get rid of that little nipple right there that pops up because of the gap in your vise where the jaws come together. If you like that, and I think that looks kind of cool because it looks like a little bit of a railroad spike, and I might have a neat little project I might do with that now that y'all are making me make something I don't like to make. But If you want to leave it, leave it. It doesn't hurt it, and it does not affect the way the nail drives into the wall. It doesn't make it any stronger either. But make sure you have a good prominent shoulder, again, guys, so whenever you go to hammer it, it doesn't slide down into your vise. Because if you don't have good sharp shoulders and have a good sharp jaws on your vise, what it'll do is whenever you go to hit it where your shoulder is, it'll actually slide down in and make a V shape, and it'll push through your vise, and those are a pain to fix. They're not hard, but it is a lot of heat going back and forth. Also, make sure you tighten your vise down a little bit tighter so everything holds in place. I think I covered everything, guys. That was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. Guys, nails are not fun at all to make. Well, they are. They're not bad. I say that jokingly. I'm not a huge fan, again, of making nails. Again, I talk all about that at the beginning. I've talked all about that at the beginning of the video, so I'm not going to rant anymore. But practice them, because it teaches you when you're making a nail, you can also make a rivet. You know, when you're making a nail, you're working on your upsetting. You're working on, you know, filling in an area for a rivet or for whatever it is you're using, you know, whatever it is you're making. So learn that process and make a lot of nails. I have been making nails for years, off and on, whenever I need to. And I really should just come out and forge about, you know, 50 or 60 nails one day just to do it. Because staying in practice with this, guys, it makes it a lot easier down the road when you're doing other projects. So I recommend, and really with any project you're doing, the first time you make it, make 10. But slowly increase every time you make those 10 to try to make them faster and make them better. Guys, that's pretty much the video. It was a real simple video. There's a lot of technique involved in doing this with your half on, half off blows. Make sure you are keeping those corners and your when you're making your shoulder, everything lined up so you don't get off too much. Also remember, guys, that when you're hammering, if you start seeing it drifting off to one side, start hammering it back the other way, drawing your material to other directions. But other than that, guys, this was a fun video. Not really. But it was a fun video. It was fun getting back to the basics and doing this again. If you have any questions or comments, by all means, throw them in the comment section. I will do my best to link the leaf video in here, so you, the back to basics link video. Man, that didn't sound right. I'm going to try to link the back to basics leaf video. Words are hard. In the description. So you can go and watch that process a little bit more closely on pushing the material so you don't get a cold shut. But guys, again, that's the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I will see you on the next one. God bless. Keep hammering. Oh yeah, hit that like and subscribe button. I know I was forgetting to say something. All right, guys, God bless. Keep hammering.